The climate crisis isn't fooling around. It's seriously endangering the US economy and people's well-being. And guess what? Time's running out before things get super bad. As the climate shifts, some Americans boldly move towards danger zones while leaving safer havens behind. But why are people flocking to the regions most threatened by the changing climate? High climate risk and growth often go hand in hand. The climate crisis isn't just causing problems, it's amplifying them, and its impact isn't uniform for everyone. Some people, especially those already struggling, will feel the pain. These changes will hit everyone hard: communities, businesses, and even public authorities. But who's taking the biggest hit? People who are already having a tough time are predominantly minority communities. Public agencies help after the worst weather hits, kind of like an emergency helper. As the costs from this climate mess grow, it's not just businesses and communities hurting. The government's feeling it too. Public funds are at risk due to all the damage from the climate crisis. This crisis amplifies problems, sapping resources for other needs, and as it worsens, public agencies must allocate more funds to address it. That is not good news for the budget. Due to these risks, government calculations show it might need to allocate an additional $25 billion to $128 billion annually. That includes assisting after disasters, dealing with floods, and even healthcare. And that's not all. Fires and flood risks at public facilities are part of the issue too. People worry about climate change, but move to risky areas. In some areas, the sun blazes like a scorching oven for weeks, with daytime temperatures too hot to handle the nighttime temperatures lingering above 90 degrees Fahrenheit. Would you still consider such a place for your dream home? Now picture another neighborhood where flooding is common, and recent hurricanes have left in ruins. Would you pack your bags, move there, or opt for a high and dry location? Here's the surprising part. Many Americans are making unconventional choices. They're relocating to regions with a high likelihood of wildfires, extreme heat, droughts, and floods. This revelation comes from a recent study by Redfin, a real estate website, which examined people's migration patterns and their connection to climate-related risks. The most flood-prone areas had around 400,000 more people moving in than out in 2021 and 2022. That's a massive 103% increase from the 2 years before. Places most at risk of wildfires saw 446,000 more people coming in than leaving over the past 2 years, and the spots where heat waves are a significant threat got an extra 629,000 people, a 17% jump. Take Lee County, Florida. It was hit by a Hurricane Ian recently, but in the last 2 years it gained 60,000 new folks. That's 65% more than 2 years before. So how did they figure this out? They used the First Street Foundation, a group that knows all about climate risk. They marked the areas most in danger of flooding, wildfires, heat, and drought. Then, they checked census data to see where people were going. People don't care about climate trouble. It's that they're super worried about money. The cost of living is a big deal, and it's the main thing on our minds. With COVID-19 making remote work a thing and low mortgage rates, people are moving to warmer places with fewer taxes. Daryl Fairweather from Redfin says folks do think about climate risks, but immediate concerns went out. People want warm weather and low taxes. Those worries come before anything else. But this short-term thinking might come back to bite them. Even if they're not considering it, climate change will hit them in the long run. Property values grow slower, and insurance could get pricier and harder to find. It's like a slow burn. As climate messes up homes and insurance get tougher, property values won't rise as much. So while people move to risky spots, some places lose residents. Hurricane hit Louisiana and fire hit Paradise, California saw folks leaving. Maybe there's a line where people say that's enough. Predicting future high-risk places is challenging. If someone found himself in Portland, Oregon, taking it easy, but then, out of the blue, the wildfires roared in, cloaking the city in a thick, smoky haze, what did he do? He packed his bags and headed south to sunny Florida. Sounds like a solid plan. Well, slower. Miami Beach had a surprise waiting. Heavy rain turned streets into flowing rivers. His car came close to taking a dip. It turned out Florida has its share of weather challenges. With all the fancy technology and experts identifying high-risk areas would be a piece of cake. But nope, it's more like trying to guess winning lottery numbers. We have data, experts make predictions, and brilliant minds working on it. But Mother Nature? She's got her script. Floods, storms, fires, droughts, and heat waves are all competing for the title of today's chaos creator. Buying a house these days takes a lot of work. Rising sea levels and heavy rain means more floods, and people are pausing to ask essential questions before locking themselves into a 30-year mortgage. Experts are trying to find cities better equipped to handle climate change. They're considering flood risk, how healthy communities are prepared, and their sustainability. But here's the catch. Safety isn't the same everywhere. There's no such thing as a risk-free spot anywhere in the country. It's about choosing the type of risk you're willing to take. Across the nation, people are grappling with abrupt shifts between droughts and torrential rains, rising temperatures, and intense storms that bring hail, rain, and tornadoes. While extreme weather isn't the sole reason for higher insurance costs, these weather events add pressure to the insurance market. This could make it difficult for some people to afford their homes, prompting them to explore safer options. For instance, people in places like Asheville, North Carolina, are noticing newcomers from coastal areas. The sea is rising and it's speeding up. In the past century, sea levels have gone up about a foot. Now they're expected to climb another foot in the next 30 years. In the US, it might not seem like much, but it's causing more of those annoying localized floods. Not the big headline-grabbing ones, but the ones that still flood downtowns and mess up daily life and shopping trips. Many folks need to grasp the flood risks fully. Different maps reveal flood, storm, fire, drought, and heat risks in various spots. Take a close look at the intertwining of climate-driven challenges and local economies. An economic research firm has assessed the top 100 most populated metropolitan areas in the United States to identify the most significant risks in the decades to come. It's like looking at two big categories: the long-term troubles like droughts, heat waves, and sea level rise, and the quick shocks of things like hurricanes, wildfires, and floods. Considering their local money gain, each city got a score about how much trouble they were in. Interestingly, the San Francisco area, the fourth largest in the nation in terms of gross domestic product, ranks as the least vulnerable to any of the three long-term challenges individually. There's quite a variation in the results. While it's clear that climate change will impact regional economies over the next 3 decades, the exact outcomes depend significantly on policy decisions. Although Louisiana is dealing with natural disaster challenges, Baton Rouge emerges as the least exposed to chronic issues like drought, heat, and sea level rise. Then we've got the Big Apple. New York City has a complex future due to its vulnerability to flooding. The city's reliance on low-lying land and subway tunnels make it susceptible to frequent flooding. Some cities have shown resilience to chronic climate change-related challenges while facing climate-linked disaster risks. For instance, Baton Rouge benefits from its access to fresh water and inland location, protecting it from sea level rise. The report also delves into the economic implications of adapting to climate change. It explores scenarios where the U.S. either takes swift action to transition away from fossil fuels or delays such measures, comparing the economic consequences. Different states face varied impacts based on their energy dependence and geographical vulnerabilities. Regarding the climate-driven natural disasters like hurricanes, wildfires, and floods, the economic risks are more concentrated along the East Coast, mainly due to the substantial toll of hurricanes. Florida, Louisiana, South Carolina, and North Carolina emerged as the states most at risk from these disasters. Interestingly, some regions show more resilience in specific indicators. States like Kentucky, Louisiana, and Tennessee benefit from aquifers that shield them from drought. The colder climate of Montana and the Dakotas, along with their inland locations, protects them against some physical challenges of climate change. However, their economies, heavily reliant on fossil fuels, pose challenges as the world transitions to renewable energy. When assessing vulnerability, the Midwest strikes me as the part of the country that is the least vulnerable. So the next time you think about cities and climate risks, remember it's a wild mix of factors that will play out like your favorite show's season finale. Phoenix, Arizona faces extreme heat affecting work, health, and growth. Phoenix, Arizona is feeling the burn of scorching heat like never before. The rising temperatures are causing a surge in heat-related deaths, and it's not just a one-off thing. This is like a sneak peek into what could become a regular hot mess. The city's new heat czar is waving the red flag, saying things are getting authentic, and the warning signs are glaring. In 2020, almost 200 people died due to extreme heat in Phoenix. That was a record-breaking summer that felt like nature's fury turned up a notch, with 53 days hitting a mind-melting 110 degrees Fahrenheit, 43 Celsius. It was a summer to remember for all the wrong reasons. The grim part? The death toll stayed shockingly high, even with fewer sizzling days last year. Homeless folks and those grappling with addictions suffered disproportionately. Phoenix used to be all about that desert heat, but it's getting hotter than a frying pan on a hot stove. The nights become sweltering, and the blame game points to global heating and the city's relentless expansion. Urbanization is turning up the heat and making this city a sprawling oven. It's not just discomfort, it's a full-on disaster. Over the past 2 decades, the number of folks feeling unwell due to the heat has been climbing, but in 2020, things took a dark turn. Heat-related deaths shot up by around 60%, turning the heat wave into a real game changer. 2020 wasn't just a blip on the weather radar, it's like a crystal ball showing the future. a future where scorching summers become the norm. Imagine 2050 or 2080, with summers like 2020 happening regularly. We must brace for that reality. Phoenix might be known for its sweltering heat, but this is getting out of hand. So there you have it, a closer look at how climate risks are shaping where Americans live. It's a real puzzle. Why do people move to places that are becoming riskier due to climate change? If you found this exploration as intriguing as we did, let us know your thoughts in the comments below. To stay informed about our latest videos, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Sharing is caring, so if you think this information could be helpful to someone you know, don't hesitate to share this video. Thanks for joining us to understand the complex dance between climate change and our choices. Until next time, keep learning and keep making informed decisions.